Yeah, and it's probably why people have haven't been it seems like we've lost people. And it's people want to go through things fast, and
I
I'm not
know.
like that, so I
I
like
know.
to go through it slow, but most people do like to get through it, and if it goes too slow, they're done.
I know. I totally understood that when I started
Yeah.
in the beginning and I saw that we were going to go through a snail's pace, but
Yeah.
this first chapter is so critical to
It lays a
understand.
foundation. Yeah,
Yeah, to
it does.
understand the quantum field as what source of a creator has created for us to have infinite potentials in our experience in creation. And so
Yeah.
if we're going to become responsible creators, we need to know how it functions, or else we're going to miscreate, and we need to stop miscreating.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I am there with you. Tired of just creating.
I'm tired of miscreating, and I'm tired of bringing things back around the mountain again. You
Oh
know, it's like, oh,
man,
I
it is
brought this
time to
back into
move
my
on.
field
Yeah,
again.
yeah. No, no more going around the mountain. No.
No, no, no more. So to kind of pick up where we left off, I was looking on page 22 about this, about I love the fact that with the interview that I just had with Daryl, he was talking about us being electromagnetic beings, you know, and there was a lot that we were connecting to that in the toroidal fields and everything. And
Yeah.
so from a quantum standpoint, this is like the middle of page 22. From a quantum standpoint, we have to create a different state of being as an observer, and generate a new electromagnetic signature. And we spent a lot of time on that last week, and what that meant as far as the Tav, when we see the Tav in mother position and father position. When we do, we will match a potential reality in the field that exists only as an electromagnetic potential. So for me, that was a huge aspect of understanding what we're talking about here and why the slow progression through the book. Because if we do not get the foundation, we are not going to comprehend the how and the why and the when and the where and all of those critical pieces that we need to know. In fact, I'm so grateful that that science is showing us this stuff. So now this is where we talk about coherence. And this is a really good place for us to land this whole first chapter, the Quantum You, because coherence, and this is where we were talking even a couple of weeks ago about the Heart Math Institute, for them to really explain what heart-brain coherence is and how, I'm just going to say it, so the external narratives that are being forced upon us are keeping us in a lower vibration of incoherence, so that we are not consciously aware of what we are creating, which is allowing more chaos to be in our fields. And they do this through fear. Because as soon as that fear, and so again, bringing in last week, we were talking about the order of the heart, the leb from the bell. So the lamed bet, where you have authority over your inside, rather having your inside have authority over you, or your body becoming the emanation of yourself instead of you having control over what your body is doing. And so so this science part of it, and I think I'm going to try to show the picture here because I love the pictures. Some of the people are just listening to this and they don't have the access, but he shows, hopefully you guys can see that good enough here, about what it looks like with coherent patterns and incoherent waves. And so this is a huge position for us to recognize where our heart is at. And again, connecting to the words Toda Rabah, which we did weeks ago in that meditation. That meditation actually puts your heart in the correct order. The Lamed Bet instead of the Bet Lamed, as Bet Lamed being a heart that is anxious and fearful. So when we have that gratitude and love and we can center in it, then we're in the place of coherence. And as soon as we are there, we have now aroused ourselves inwardly to begin creating by now taking the intent from here, from that which we are creating in our third eye, right? From the imagination of the third eye, the pineal gland, and connecting it to the coherent heart that is lined up with it. So, do you guys know? I've shared this before. Regina, you probably know this, and maybe you too as well, Kathleen, because you've been listening to a lot of the things. Do you remember what the word pineal means? Did you know? Do you remember that it's a Hebrew word?
Is it, well, is it like when Jacob was, saying, surely the Lord was in this place and I did not see him?
And
Or
it's
no?
interesting. Yes, no, that's exactly right. The translation that they used, they called it Penuel.
Yeah.
And the difference is Paniel is spelled with a yod instead of a vav. And so to connect it with people, I know some people are probably just listening because they want to know the information of Greg Braden's book. But again, if I cannot bring the language into it, that's the whole purpose why I'm sharing this, because it goes hand in hand. Paniel has a yod. Whenever you see a yod that is added into a word, it is meant to have it connected with the vav. So yod is put into place. It's a vision. It's power, means, and direction that is waiting for you to connect to. So your pineal gland is a place that power is being given to you. And as soon as you connect to it, you have Panuel. Now, this word has two words that have been conjoined together. Has the word pana and has the word el. Pana means to face or to turn about, to be seen and to appear. El, Aleph Lamed, is the word for God.
God.
So this is why the calcification of the pineal gland is really a huge diminishing factor within us, because through the electromagnetic field and the quantum field, we have to have access to the pineal gland because the power is given to us, the yod, and because it's in the middle of the word, it is connecting right here. So you have the heart-brain coherence going on through the pineal gland, which is the source and the power from creator source to make it happen. And then it becomes Panuel. Panuel, you have now become the face of God because you have connected in your heart and you have created something.
Wow. We see God face to face.
Exactly.
How did it get with that word calcified? How did that happen?
Okay, this is actually a really good segue into something else, because eventually I'm going to have people coming in and talking about different things that we can do for health and wellness of our bodies. One of the biggest, and Regina can add to this too, because I know she knows, one of the biggest things that calcifies our pineal gland is fluoride. So they discovered this, actually, I believe it was in World War II. They were using fluoride in the water, fluoridated water, to help sedate all of those people that went into the concentration camps. Because again, it just wasn't the Jewish people. There were a lot of people that were taken into, Christians as well. And I think even homosexuals. I mean, there was a lot of people that went into the concentration camps, and so they added fluoride into the water to make them more docile. But what they have found over time is fluoride calcifies the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is supposed to vibrate. It's supposed to have a vibrational frequency that then tunes into the vibrational coherent field of the quantum realm of infinite potentiality to draw things to us, all these potentials that we're putting out. So it has a very high vibratory nature in allowing us to envision and to receive visions. It's like a broadcaster and a receiver, both simultaneously. And so one of the best things that you can do is drink distilled water. Because distilled water, unlike what we were told, again, now I'm into the system of duality, but I really think it's good for us to know how our bodies have worked and how they've utilized the dual system to do things and whatnot, okay? But purified water has a negative charge to it, and what it does is it removes inorganic minerals
Mhm.
out of our body, not the organic ones, the inorganic. And so
Right.
how did they scare us? Oh, it's going to strip you of all your minerals. It's going to make you sick. Stay away from it. So it was a half truth. Yes, it does strip it, but the inorganic ones, the ones that make you sick.
Mhm.
So I've dissolved, this is way off topic, but it's all connected. I have dissolved bone spurs in my body by drinking distilled water because the bone spurs were inorganic calcium deposits.
Yeah. Well, water is we probably all know this, but it's a carrier.
It is.
And so if the water is filled up with minerals, because everybody says drink mineral water, drink mineral water. But if it's filled up already, it doesn't, it's like it can't carry out the bad stuff if it's full.
Because you have to
It
digest
can't be a
it.
carrier. It can't be a carrier.
Right,
And
because
that's
you
what
have
it's
to
meant for.
digest your water.
Well, that's how it cleans the air. It distills up into the cloud, and then it comes down. It's pure, and it cleans the air. But if it didn't do that, it couldn't clean the air. It would already be full. That's why distilled water is so. If there's any controversy around it, at least do it when you're trying to get toxins out, when you're
Yeah.
cleansing. At least
Yeah.
do it then. You know.
Agreed.
Okay.
So it's a different segue, but that is important because this again goes to, this is a part that isn't talked about in the book, but is very, very important for us to understand what detoxing the body looks like. Because if you don't have a body that is able to have energy run through it or having water through it, you are not able to function at the optimum level necessary. You're going to be sluggish, you're going to be tired, you're going to be ill, you're all of these things. And as soon as you get your health in line in a lot of situations by making certain tweaks and changes, your spirituality goes into hyperdrive. Because you're able to receive, your vessel is able to receive more because those things that were clogging it up and clogging up your energy centers, it's not just energetic things that clog energy centers, right? Because the body, we have a body, soul, spirit, or body, soul, mind complex that all of them need to be cleansed, not just one. You know, so we talk about the shadow work, and that's very important. But if we're not addressing the body, and usually when people go into the deeper hidden teachings and you hear about initiation, and I know that that word has been bastardized within Christianity, but when you go into initiation processes, the first thing they do is deal with the body.
Mhm.
The very first thing. Change your food, change your water, start moving, detox, clear the temple. That is the very first thing that they do, bringing in disciplined practices, because once the temple is cleaned and pure of the things that are holding it back, then spirituality can take a leap forward, like unbelievably so, because it increases your vibratory nature instead of keeping it so low and so dense and ill and in the malform. If you know, connecting to some of the things that Ken has said. So I know that was a segue. It's not about the book, but we're only covering 2 pages today. So I felt like Spirit was saying we needed to discuss that. Okay, so I want to skip over to there's well, we're not going to skip. We're going to go into the bottom section of page 23 or 22 because it talks about lasers. And I thought this was a really good, so a laser is a very good example of a coherent signal. So when physicists talk about a coherent signal, they're referring to a signal made up of waves that are in phase. Their troughs, low points, and crests are parallel. And when these waves are coherent, they are much more powerful. So that speaks volumes to when we are coherent versus incoherence. We are much more powerful when we are coherent. And the mind-brain coherence is super important. And anytime you're kept in fight or flight, you are not coherent. You're not in coherence. You're incoherent.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of mental mental illnesses come out directly from being in fight or flight for too long,
Mhm.
because this and this cannot connect
Mhm.
when you're in fight or flight, when you've been triggered. So anything you guys want to say on that before I move into page 23? We're chomping through the last couple pages here. Oh, maybe we go a little further.
Only
Yes, there's
that
more.
it's really been, you can mask that so well, learn to mask that so well that you don't even know you're in that mode. And when I was going to school and I had just a full plate, and I would go in to, because I worked with Chinese medicine, I worked at the clinic for a while and did stuff like that. And they would check my pulse because that's how they check how you're doing. And they always told me I needed to go on a vacation. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like that. I feel like I'm fine. I feel like I'm, doing what I need to do. And I didn't feel like I was in that adrenaline high mode like that, where you needed to slow everything down and be quiet sometimes. And I didn't meditate or do anything at that point. And so we just can mask that so easily.
Sure.
But we don't know that we're in fight or flight. We just don't even know we're in it. And that's it's real deceptive, I think.
It is. And I think that's why I think one of the things that helps dispel that is by looking at what is being presented in your quantum field. If you have a lot of chaos in your life, if there's a lot of chaos coming in from all kinds of different angles, and you're just looking at it going, why is this always happening? Or why is this coming in? Or why can't I have peace? Or what is going on? It's because you're creating from incoherence, and it's trying to get you to see it because you don't register it in here. You have no idea what's going on here, but you keep manifesting it out here.
Yeah.
So it's like I've heard Linda speak about and saying that the world, the outside matrix, is a prophet to you. Learn to see how it's speaking.
And I know that's true, but I think that's even deceptive because we don't see things as chaos that are.
Well, because it's been normalized.
It's normal
what's
to us.
Familiar. If that's
Right.
what's familiar,
it's what's familiar, and we don't even realize that it's chaos. Right. So that can even be hard to determine from that.
Well,
sometimes.
And this is why the power of meditation is so important, right?
Yes.
Because when you get into that meditative space and you connect to that place of coherence,
yes,
and you begin feeling that, because it's a feeling, it's sensory, and you begin feeling that, and then you come out of your meditation, and all of a sudden, all this stuff is barraging you, like from the outside, and you're like,
that's the greatest taste. I mean, tool. That's the greatest tool is meditation. I really believe that's true.
I do
that's
too.
What you really can tell. You slow everything down where you can really see clearly and hear, and you can't otherwise.
That was a critical piece to my personal healing. Everything changed once I started meditating. Everything.
Yeah, mine too.
And that was not all that long ago of a practice. Although soaking in worship music within the church is a form of meditation, and I just didn't realize it.
Yes.
I did plenty of that.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I left the church, all of that stopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of it stopped. And so like for 5 years,
when we're really inspired by something, and some people call it they're on their high flying disc. So you're in your realm, and it's like a creative realm. But I mean, if you don't recognize that you're a creator, of course you don't create at that point. But that's when you're in your high flying disc, you're in a meditative state. You're in an open place where you can receive and draw things to yourself and create all three.
I love that. An
Yeah.
open and clear channel. That's kind of like the
Yeah.
difference of the tahor and tameh in Hebrew. The tahor, I love this. So tahor is tet, hey, resh, and tahor means, it was translated as the word clean, and it means an open, clear channel. And that makes sense because the letter hey is right in the middle. It's like right in the middle, which means revelation. You have the ability to have revelation within your heart because you are clean. You are tahor because
Mhm.
you wrestled with the mountain of who you are. And in that
Mhm.
moment, you cleansed yourself so that revelation can come. And that's exactly what we were talking about with cleaning out the temple. That's all that
Mhm.
means. It doesn't mean, oh, something's clean or dirty or ill. It's just saying, do you want to be a clear and open channel for
Mhm.
revelation to come in so that you can create and not
Mhm.
miscreate?
Mhm.
But you're going to
Yes.
have to wrestle to find it.
There's always that, huh?
There's
Always.
always that. Always that
It's
darn
always the
thing. There's
wrestle.
always that wrestle. But, it's all good, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and that's an adjustment to get to that point where it's all good. Because
Accepting it all is good
yeah,
because
it's a
we
huge
need our
thing.
catalyst.
That changes your life when you get to that point where you
Yeah.
realize it's all good.
Every catalyst that comes is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what it looks like or how it
No
feels
matter
in the
what.
beginning, when you wrestle through it, the end result is goodness and favor and kindness and love.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, that just was on a different tangent, but it's all connected because it's from that place that we then don't miscreate. So
Mhm.
moving on to page 23, I just realized the chapter is much longer. So we're going to be in the quantum U for a while.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's all right.
yeah.
So on after the visual, waves in a signal are either aligned or unaligned, coherent or incoherent, and this same thing goes for your thoughts and feelings. So taking it from what the laser is looking like to thoughts and feelings of being coherent and incoherent, and that the quantum creating only works when your thoughts and your feelings are aligned. So again, meditation is really important.
Mhm.
And so we were talking about last week, Regina, you were talking about how clear the intent is, how clear the picture is of something is what's really going to manifest it.
Mhm.
And we didn't get to that point on the page.
Mhm.
When you hold clear, focused thoughts about your purpose, accompanied by your passionate emotional engagement, you broadcast a stronger electromagnetic signature that pulls you towards a potential reality that matches what you want.
Mhm.
So focused, clear, and focused thoughts. And so I just wanted to acknowledge what you had said last week about that
Mhm.
and the importance of that. Any thoughts?
No, that's just a huge part of it. I know that the purer the thought, um, with I mean that's what brings in anytime there's distraction from that purity of thought, that is what's keeping you from it manifesting. It's the exact thing. So the intent has to be clear. It has to be so sometimes it takes studying it more to have it clear in your mind, or it takes um, meditating on it, because then you're hearing straight from you know, your higher self. You know, you're hearing straight from that, and it's um then you know it's clear. That's the biggest clarity, is when we can hear directly.
Yeah.
But you know, because when we study things, it's you have to sift through. You have to sift through a lot of that. You don't have to sift through what you're once you learn the difference between your ego and your higher self. You don't have to sift through that, you know.
Oh yeah, because you can feel it right here.
Mm-hmm.
connecting at the heart level, hence the heart-brain coherence. So I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Kathleen, did you have any thoughts on that?
Nope.
Okay. So moving on to page 24, this is so good. This is so good. He starts out talking about a woman that he met that was an old school Italian steeped in Catholic guilt. And he put that in there.
Yeah, it was his grandma.
Okay, so Catholic guilt. Now listen to this. She prayed constantly for things and deliberately thought about a new life, but the guilt that had been instilled in her throughout her upbringing confused the signal she was sending.
Mhm.
She only manifested more reasons to feel guilty.
Mhm.
And this is the power of indoctrination.
Yeah.
Carrie,
Yeah.
that when I read that, I was really happy for Joe because that was his grandma he was talking about. And so often in a family, that stuff gets passed down, not just by word, but by action. And so he really freed himself, from that pattern.
I would agree. And then being able to, see that, the awareness of it, to go, oh, okay. And so for him, his experiences coming through the science side of it and then connecting it with the spirituality allowed him to bypass the indoctrination that would hold him back from manifesting his healing that he experienced personally in his life, and hence launching all of this phenomena that has occurred in his life that is assisting all of us. It's so incredible,
Right.
these paradigms being shattered, and why the that was kind of a Freudian slip, but not really. I was going to say destruction or deconstruction, and I said destruction, and it's kind of same thing. Our 70 AD moment of the things that we have built as a religious foundation that was the new from Judaism, right? Christianity. Now we're all deconstructing, and so that we don't have to keep creating more of the same of fear and shame and guilt and torment and keeping us subjected to a form of ourselves that we want to break the habit of being.
Mhm.
Right. And Joe, later on in the book, we'll read it. He treats his children this way. He teaches his
I know.
children. Yeah. So that's so
Mhm.
cool, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, so if you think about what the world is going to really look like when this newer generations that are coming in grasp a hold of
Yeah.
what it's like to be a conscious creator.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
So
Change
I'm
everything.
glad that we have Dr. Joe, as an example of how he has affected his children's lives, because now everything that they do is coming from that place of being responsible in and through their own creations.
Mm.
Mhm.
So incredible.
Yes.
So if your intentions and desires haven't produced consistent results, you've probably been sending an incoherent mixed message into the field. And that makes sense. It's like, I can't hear it. I can't see it. It's not lining up. So,
Mhm.
you're giving me mixed signals. What do you want?
Mhm.
You say you want this, but you're manifesting this. So you're being dual in nature. I can't give you something that is opposing one another.
Mhm.
That would be chaos.
Mhm.
So when the mind is in opposition to the body or vice versa, the field will not respond in any consistent way. So when we look at the sacred languages and we look at the letter mem, especially the mem that's the open mem, the one that's on the prefix side of the word. So again, I'm connecting the languages, because if I don't, then there's no point of me going into this quantum field and, bypassing what the languages are saying to us. So the mem on the prefix is letting us know that there is chaos within, and that we have come in and through chaos, the chaotic waters.
Mhm.
And the chaotic waters, it means that the mind and the body are in opposition to one another, because mother's job is to try to help tame that to get you into a place where there's not so much chaos, and her importance of why raising up a child in the way they should go, because all the Eastern cultures would always start with heart training first. They considered the heart, the mind, the will, and the emotions, and not up here. And so mother's like, you've got all this chaos. Let me begin to show you so that you can learn what it is like. Because if the more chaos you have, the more you're going to produce in your life. And I love that. I love seeing that. So instead, when mind and body are working together, when our thoughts and feelings are aligned, we are in a new state of being. Then we are sending a coherent signal on the airwaves of the invisible. And this goes back to what we were sharing last week and the week before, and I keep bringing it forward. Inculcation, the word Haya, Hey Yod Hey, Haya. So I'm going to bring in something, and we can talk about this. We may go another page or so, but I wanted to talk to you guys about something that the Spirit was showing me this morning when I was just in my own little meditative state. We see Yod Hey Vav Hey, the Tetragrammaton, which people would call Jehovah, Yahweh, Yahuwah, however you want to see it, Mother and Father, Yod Hey Vav Hey. There's Haya, which is the root form of it, Hey Yod Hey, and it means to be, to become, to come to pass. So it's in that static form. It's in perfect alignment. It's pure potential. So when we have the Vav that enters in, so Yod Hey, Vav Hey, this is when the place where we begin to connect it within here. So the vision is given, power is given to it, we connect to our heart, and then it manifests. That is what the pattern is through Yod Hey, Vav Hey. I saw something a little bit different today, though. I saw, and you will see it in the writings, you will see it, especially, you're not going to see it in Aramaic, you'll see it in Hebrew, because Hebrew is very linear in its construction design. It's the era of the divine masculine that goes and builds. Like, I'm going from A to Z, I'm going to build something. And we have to have it so that the divine feminine energy can fill it up and bring it life. That both are necessary. So what I saw was Vav, Hey Yod Hey. Vav, Hey Yod Hey is the same gematria. So if you total up the numbers, same gematria as Yod Hey Vav Hey. It's the same letters, it's just in a different order. And anytime words that are in the exact same total number, even if the letters are different or the letter orders are changed, they are interrelated one with one another. So now this is saying you have connected through Mother to the creation process.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So Mother, because the Vav is added to the prefix of the word of Haya. Oh, this is so amazing. I'm like, oh, goosebumps. Vav, Hey Yod Hey, Mother is trying to teach you, to get you to understand that through your divine masculine energy, that it starts the process of creation, but it cannot be completed until you get the power within your heart and your mind aligned so that it can then be revealed and come to pass. So you'll see it as, I think it's a Vahaya, I think that's how you say it. So it's the process of teaching us how to become the creators. And Mother's job is to lay that foundation out to us as children from the very beginning, hence why the Vav is there. And then when it moves to the place of I am, what we all classic know of the phrase I am, not I am that I am, because we already addressed that last week, but just I am, it's Eye, it's Aleph, Hey Yod Hey. So now the Vav is removed, and now you have the Aleph in place. So this is saying that you have become one with the infinite potential in the quantum field in being able to create as I am. So it's a beautiful, beautiful progression that I saw from Yod Hey Vav Hey to Vav Hey Yod Hey to Aleph Hey Yod Hey, Eye, I am. But it has to start with Mother's teaching to bring it in, to get us to connect to our heart, to have heart-brain coherence. And hence I honor Joe for teaching his children the way they should go. And now how beautiful it is that we enter in as little children, and now we are getting to learn it as well. No matter where we are, it's never too late to learn these things. Because I'm
Hallelujah.
with you. I know, right? Hallelujah. I love that. It's so true. Did you guys have anything to say about that? Anything you want to share?
I just found myself many times thinking about how I raised my own kids. And, it's all I knew. But it just is like, oh, if I could go back. But, that's what this is all about. It's about learning, going through the experience and learning from it. So it's okay. It's just, they're raised, and they'll have to go back and learn it just like me,
But you know what's beautiful on that, Regina? And I know your situation, your life is a little bit different, but for other people that still have, close relationships with their children, when we change, they see the change.
Yeah. And I believe this, even when they don't see it, I believe the things that I do, the choices that I make, and the decisions, the changes in me do affect them.
Sure.
In the quantum field. So,
Yes.
So we're talking about there is still change, even if they can't see you.
And that would be through quantum entanglement, right? Through our DNA.
Yes. Yes.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. So no matter what, and again, that's why our changes within affect all of us, because we are all quantumly connected.
Absolutely.
So now we can see more how and why it works the way it works.
Carrie.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I hope we don't lose any people on the channel when I say this, but, I'm not worried. I'm not trying to get people.
I'm not trying to collect people here. It doesn't matter. I want hearts healed. And if they can't handle it, they can go, I'm not worried about it. I just want to hear what your heart has to say.
Me too.
Well, I have no science, no background, no knowledge. It's just something I've always felt in my heart, that if I get concerned about someone, my loved one, my son who has a lot of problems, if I don't hear from him for a long, long, long time, I have just said out loud, call your mom. And I say his name. And you know what? I just really believe, that we can do that. That Regina, you can just say out loud, I love you in your child's name. I don't know. This is something I live by.
You're
that
right.
It goes
You're right,
out
Kathleen.
there. They say that radio broadcast, all these things are just floating out there in space and they keep going. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just believed it.
Yes.
So saying
that's
that,
good to hear.
I totally get that, because in your mind's eye, you picture your son, right? And then you have gratitude in your heart for your son. And then you speak out of your mouth that which you want to have in the quantum field. And you say, I love you. Call your mom. And you just created an experience that the next thing you know, you are on your son's heart and he's picking up the phone.
Every time.
Exactly. And this is why all of a sudden somebody will pop into our mind randomly. We won't be thinking about them, because they're putting something out in the quantum field that we are picking up. Our antenna is picking up. And it's like, that is how we are going to begin to really communicate with one another without words. We're going to allow the quantum field, through the pureness of our heart and the intention of our mind, which has been purified, to connect without having to use words.
Yes.
That's telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts with the ability by having heart-brain coherence.
Yes.
So it's no wonder why you connect to your heart level with your son, and then you send out the message and he receives it loud and clear, because it was straight from your heart.
Yeah.
Coherent. I can hear you, Mom. I can hear you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's good.
So this is like a perfect segue to the next one. Why quantum outcomes should come as a surprise. So when we put things out there like, call your mom, and you're putting it out there, and the next thing, your son's calling you within a day or two. it should come to us as a surprise. And I think that this is really this is the element of producing joy. I know that Joe says it, but I believe this in my heart, that this is how we can truly manifest joy in our life. Because we aren't controlling the outcome. We are just putting the intent out there of that which we are wanting to create in our experience. And we allow the creator, the quantum field, to bring it to us in a way that is surprising. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, so that's how it manifested. And it's like opening this beautiful gift that was personally made for us, because the creator that makes it happen in the quantum field loves us so much that he wants to give us good gifts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Us putting our clear intent out there and then having love and gratitude prior to it even manifesting. What parent wouldn't just be overjoyed to give that good gift because you already said thanks in advance through love?
Yes.
Now I get that. Now I get that scripture about the Father of Lights and giving us good gifts. All we have to do is get into the heart-brain coherence and have a heart of gratitude and love and just put the intent out there. This is the desire of my heart. And I love you so much, Creator, that I'm giving you thanks ahead of time, because I know it is your good pleasure to bless me with these things, because you love me so much that you want to interact with me and show me how much you love me. That's so incredible.
It is.
At least that's how I see it.
Yes. Amen.
oh yeah.
Oh, I love that. Oh, and here I thought I didn't have any more tears left. Okay, whatever. I guess that leaky faucet is always able to be turned on, or maybe it never turns off. So marching on, we're cruising through these pages. Moving on to page 25. This, I love when he explains and brings us to the Newtonian classic physics, to what this quantum realm is. And this is where I know for most of my life, I have lived in this place. And of course, we're talking about indoctrination. We're talking about the way that we were taught in the education system, except for the higher advanced stuff that I know that Regina got through her higher education. But I never went to college. You know, I went to beauty college. So I didn't have higher education. I've had to learn everything through the spirit after I left cosmetology. That Newtonian is cause and effect. And that keeps us in victim mentality. It's like, you know, we never feel like we have control over anything in us, and everything that happens to us is just cause and effect. And I can see that in a way of the reaping and sowing, right? So reaping and sowing concept is cause and effect.
Yeah, there's a truth to it. But yeah.
But I think it's a limited truth. I think that is. I think that's mother's teaching before going to father's teaching. Like mother is teaching you cause and effect because the golden rule, right? So in other words, if you punch someone in the face, they're going to punch you back, and there's a good chance that the cops are going to get called, right? That's the Newtonian design, so that we can just become safe with one another. But when we move into the advanced teachings, then we get into the quantum realm, because we have to be able to learn how our system works with how we relate to one another, so we can stop beating each other up, both mentally, emotionally, you know, and physically.
Yeah.
In order for us to get situated in our heart to be safe with one another. And then that's when the quantum teaching can come through Father, so that we move out of the cause and effect, that we are causing an effect. And I'm pretty sure he says it that way, about we're causing effect. Yeah, in the middle of the page. He says, instead change your internal environment. So again, this is moving into the advanced teachings of Father.
Yeah.
Once you become accountable for your external elements, then you become accountable for your internal elements. So again, this is connecting everything that Ken and I have been sharing with the rearing and the maturation process of what the language shows into this model of moving from the Newtonian style, cause and effect, reaping and sowing, sowing and reaping, into the inside, internal, eternal realm of creating. So I love this. Instead, change the internal environment, the way you think and feel, and then see how the external environment is altered by your effects. You just became a quantum creator. You went from cause and effect to causing an effect. I so love that. I am causing an effect.
Mm-hmm.
We want to learn to be more effective in this world. We want to be effective in our relationships. We want to do and make changes in what we see in our external narratives. Then change yourself from the inside out.
Yes.
Be the change you want to see, because you're going to create from the internal perspective
Mm-hmm.
of your clear intent, and then putting that heart-brain coherence and making it manifest externally. We are being given such an incredible gift to know who we truly are.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to blow by this. I don't ever want to just move on and go, well, that was a fun table conversation. Now let's get on to something else because I'm not stimulated. If we don't really see the ramifications of what this is, then you're actually being more of the problem than you are the result. And you're leaving it up to somebody else to do it, when this is requiring all of us to do it together.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's really my heart on that. And it has been mine for a while, but now I understand why. Now I understand why the passion was there to begin with, and why I wanted to create a community where we could get together, because of what is being revealed to us, because we can do something about it. It's not up to everybody else.
Yes. We
Responsible
all play our part.
creators. Well,
Yeah.
and what is it? To whom much is given, much is required.
Mm-hmm.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Responsible creators.
Mm-hmm.
And that touches me. I feel that. I feel the weight of that. So we'll finish halfway through the year, and then if we want to talk about anything else. So this is the finishing of this subject section. Hold a clear intention of what you want, but leave the how details to the unpredictable quantum field. Let it orchestrate an event in your life in a way that is just right for you. If you're going to expect anything, expect the unexpected. Surrender, trust, and let go of how a desired event will unfold. And this is the biggest hurdle for most to overcome, because as human beings, we always want to control a future reality, the unknown, by trying to recreate how it occurred in a past reality, the known.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go any further than that, because I think that is a point that we need to really ponder, because the word trust has and keeps coming back to me over and over and over again. It was coming to me like a month before I went to Crestone, and it still isn't being let loose from me. And so I'm realizing that for my personal, and you guys might have your own thoughts about this too, about where you guys are at, this word trust. How many times have we been let down in things, and how many times we've been let down and we've put the blame on God for not manifesting something for us or not answering our prayer. Oh, dang it.
Yeah. All of us. That's a huge struggle. Trust is the big thing. I guess how I feel like I'm on track with trusting is, I guess I'd use the word satisfied. If I can move myself into a place of feeling satisfied, even though I don't know where, when, how, what, I know what, but I don't know where, when, I don't know the details. And I have I have to get myself in a place of feeling satisfied right where I'm at. And if I can, and sometimes you have to go to something else and then come back to it because to move out of it. You have to go to a place, to another place where you are satisfied and get into that realm to go back to that subject that is harder to trust. And so then the feeling's familiar and you go back to it. I learned a lot about that realm, more so from Joe. I learned it from the Abraham Hicks. She spoke in a way that I could really get a lot of things. And she would, it was always your state of being. And if you can't get there, you have to move out of there and go someplace where you can get there in another way and then come back to that later if you can't trust in that area, because it's not something you can force yourself to do. You know, it's something that you have to, well, I mean, it's a process.
Absolutely.
It's a process.
Absolutely.
So it's not something that you can conjure up in the moment sometimes. So you have to go out and and meditation is huge for that, is to go to that neutral place. And then when you start, and when you get to the neutral place, then you focus on those things where you do trust, where you are satisfied, and then move in to that place where you have more of a wrestle.
Well, that you just explained about what trust is all about, because the tet, it's the word batak. It's bet, tet, het.
Yeah.
Bet, simple translation, is a letter that means inside, right? And it means to build. Tet has to do with wrestling. It has to deal with the wrestle of mother and father in order for you to find the power on the inside in your heart. And then het is a letter that means separation or a window or a ladder, but it also is an esoteric meaning. The deeper hidden sod level is the letter of life. Right. Meaning that, you know, in life, you're going to struggle. In life, you're going to feel the separation, but yet you are meant to come back into the covenant of one. You are meant to come back to it. And so the way I look at this with the whole thing with trust, for me, and being transparent, is that in all the things when I would pray, so again, we weren't given the right tools or the right equation to comprehend. So we would earnestly pray. So let's talk about, we've got an underlying subconscious programming with guilt, and we are trying to pray an opposite result. And so we are attaching a lot of emotion, but it's guilt-based, and we're not seeing things manifest. And so then what happens? Then we get angry with God, and we don't understand why prayers are not being answered. And then what happens is you don't trust the Creator. You're like, you didn't hear my prayer. You didn't hear my plea. I was in my depth of despair. I was wrestling. And what we fail to see is that God's hands were tied. God could not do anything on our behalf. The quantum field creator could not respond to us because we were still wrestling on the inside of here because of past hurts, harms, things where we didn't get our way because we were begging and pleading from a place of subconscious programming that made us see that God was a vengeful God. God was going to punish you if you didn't do the right things. And so then you're wrapped up in, am I pleasing? Maybe he's not answering my prayer because I don't have enough faith. Maybe it's because I have too much sin in my life. Maybe he's not listening to me because I'm not his favorite, because I have abandonment again. And so I'm sitting here talking about these things, and I'm feeling the stirring on the inside. So in actuality, when we talk about the trust factor, it's really beginning to forgive ourselves for projecting that on an external God. because we were taught that God was external instead of realizing that God is within.
Mhm.
So we're begging externally to a God that is above us, a deity that is above us, and maybe we might have favor if we follow all the rules. When the Creator is saying, I love you unconditionally, it's your wrestle, it's not mine. And until you stop blaming me and realize that it's your own issue because you're not trusting because of the wounds that you've had, and realize that I am an unconditionally loving Creator that wants to give you good gifts, but you need to stop separating yourself from me.
Mhm.
You need to stop fearing me. You need to stop blaming me,
Mhm.
because it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with your own wrestle on the inside.
Mhm.
So the resolve is in the letters. So now go on the inside and build trust by wrestling what you need to clear out the things that are holding you back and separating you from the love of the Creator that is not allowing you to trust that the outcome is going to be manifested in a way that is going to surprise you and bring you joy. You need to trust that the Creator is going to bring it to you in a way that is going to express love in the fullest degree of anything that we can ever experience if we stop trying to control the outcome.
Mhm.
And this has been a wrestle I have been having for months now, and I keep going in to root it out. I'm going in to root it out and forgiving myself for blaming the Creator for not meeting my demands.
Aw. Carrie, even though, I haven't looked up any of these things in the languages, it's something in the Psalms that always touched my heart, because maybe that was part of why David, was a man after God's own heart, because look at the Psalms would start out with, oh, my soul, and why this, and Lord, where are you, and everything. But like it always would say, like, that David encouraged himself, and he remembered how good and faithful God was. And he wrapped up so many of those Psalms. And I don't know, that always helped me a lot.
You know what I think that is? I think that he was wrestling with trust. He was wrestling with himself. And he
Yeah.
had to remind himself that the Creator was good and that it was all his own stuff that he was wrestling with. It's like, whoa, let me get back into my right mind, because I'm not coherent. I'm in incoherence right now. And so let me stir myself up. Let me encourage myself so that my heart and my brain can really see who Creator is and who I am through it. Because I'm the one that's creating my own pain and misery and suffering, because I keep separating myself from the love of the one infinite Creator.
Right. It wasn't an outside God who changed during that Psalm. It was him encouraging himself.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. I love that, Kathleen. Thank you for that reminder. That was absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So I don't want to go any further today. And unless you guys have anything else to say, we've been going on for about an hour. I don't want to hold anybody too late. But I thought this was some really good stuff for us to ponder today, and about the fact that we are now moving into the place where we are causing an effect instead of having to deal with cause and effect. Big paradigm shift.
Yes.
Well, I love you guys very much. Thank you. Thank you, Toda Rabah, for your time. Thank you for showing up with your hearts. Thank you for having a conversation with me today. I love you two so much.
We love
I love
you.
you.
So
Yes.
beautiful. It's one family and one love.
Mhm.
Anyway, and a heart to everybody that's potentially still watching on YouTube as well. I mean, we may not see your faces or hear your voices, but we know you're there, and we love you too.
Man.
All right. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, shalom.
Okay.